Yeah, well, thank you. Welcome to stage three, design, sponsored by BIM Collab. Um, I will be on stage introducing most of the speakers here today. On screen, you can see the people who will be speaking at this stage, starting with myself for BIM Collab, followed by the people on screen. After the session, we have a panel discussion and a short tea coffee break at 11. So let's get started. First, I want to take you on the journey with BIM Collab. So BIM Collab is a platform that can drive BIM coordination, especially in larger teams or complex challenges. And I want to take you on the journey. What is issue management with BIM Collab, and also what it brings for you tomorrow. So my name is Christian Dalhuizen. I'm a consultant at BIM Collab. I've been working with digital tools for over 25 years. And in my role, I supported many customers worldwide with setting up projects and get the most out of the digital tools that we provide. So we are a global company, active across the globe, working on many different projects in different sectors, from buildings to civil engineering, transportation, energy sector. So yeah, every project that has complex challenges and where multiple people need to align, BIM Collab is very, very useful. So our platform consists of multiple tools that integrate, making your teams build as one. So we have connections with all the BIM applications to directly integrate to our platform. We have tools to check models to make sure that they are aligned and clash-free. We can also check for data properties if there are exchange information requirements that need to be adhered to. And we all bring that together on our collaborative cloud, where all issues and also the requirements can be shared with people on the team. So normally in projects, some things are taken for granted, like the time it takes to raise issues and communicate them. So when people find issues, this is an example, of course. It could be different for your situation, but it usually takes around 5 minutes to identify and to document with screenshots or maybe pictures or 2D drawings that you then need to send through reporting, explaining, and eventually checking and following up. If you look at the time it takes about 20 minutes, but if you look at the workflow within BIM Collab, since it's cloud-based, you are doing all of these tasks at once. So it would only take 5 minutes in comparison. If you look at the time saved, this could lead up to 15 minutes per issue that you need to communicate. Depending on the people working on the project and how many issues you have, you can calculate the time saved. So let's say per month you raise 15 issues. That would lead to 225 minutes saved. And it all adds up. So if you have more people on a project, the entire team would save up to 93, 94 hours every month. So that's substantial. And it's also embedding everything into one very coherent workflow. So everyone works the same. You can even, because everything is digital, query the database, have it on visual dashboards, inform your management about the progress, etc. These are tasks that are embedded and they don't need to be created separately. So I will skip through this a little bit because I know we're on the clock and I don't want to be late for our next speaker. BCF Managers is a tool that are free on our platform, and there are a lot of different tools. Almost all common tools that are found in the industry are supported with our plugins to BIM Collab. So you can directly integrate your software without leaving it or changing your workflows. We also have embedded validation tools that can check the quality of models. It's fully integrated into our platform, and it also takes care of the revision checks afterwards to make sure that the issues that you raised are also rechecked to see if they are actually solved or not. I also want to share a technology preview in this session. So at BIM Collab, we are always further developing our platform, And we identified that we want to bring more stakeholders in, but we also want to take care of the data on projects that becoming more and more important, or even a specific requirement. For this, we adopted the Building Smart IDS standard, and I want to explain that a little bit further for those who don't know that standard. So Building Smart has created or saw the challenge that people need to exchange information requirements, but they all do that in a different style. So they could be Excel spreadsheets, but the format could be different. So there's a lot of different requirements that need to be met on projects. But you need to translate that yourself to perhaps rules, to check that, and to make sure that the modeling teams are aware of these requirements, but they're all in different styles and formats. So to overcome this, we already see that there is common standards within our industry, like IFC for model exchange, BCF for communication exchange, and now there will always also be a information delivery specification format that is going to be commonly used within the industry. So just one file loaded into your software, and then you are able to read the requirements, but also to check the requirements. So this format is meant to be a human-readable format, so it serves two purposes. It can also be read by machines or software to check models. And the integration that we have on our BIM Collab ecosystem is that we exchange it to the modeling teams using our plugins, so they know what requirements are necessary within their components. But we, parallel, can also check these models for those specific requirements. I have a short video that shows this. So this is our BIM Collab Cloud with a few projects. I can log in and go to this new page where I can define the requirements for this project. So I can have many. I can even import that maybe from a client in the future, so that I don't need to set it up even myself, but I can just take the necessary requirements directly from one of the stakeholders. So I will skip it a little bit. So in this case, I have set up the requirements. Sorry, that was too much. Well, I can't seem to skip it on the machine. But anyway, through our platform, attached to our projects are the requirements, and by logging into maybe the Revit BCF manager, a modeler can review the necessary data, and then our modeling tool, our checking tool, BIM Collab Zoom, can then check if that requirement is met or not. And if it's not, they can create issues on our platform, attach it to the correct stakeholder to fix it in their application. So in this case, you can tell which components should have a specific property and what the value of that property or the name of the property should be, if it's defined or not, or even have the values that are allowed set in these requirements. Like in this case, a fire rating property with allowed values of 1 and 2 hours. So in a modeling application, you can load up your models, connect to the platform with the free plugin. Of course, this is used to also receive issues that were assigned to you maybe for clash detection. So you can also use that to jump to the correct locations and fix them. But in the future, this will also bring the requirements from the IDS standard. So connecting to the specific project, in this case a demonstration project, we'll bring up the palette. You can see all the requirements, and because we identified that there could be a lot of those requirements on projects, we also made a smart filtering system that you can select a component and then filter for that component type. and then all the requirements for that component class are listed. So you can change your model accordingly, or even reduce the chance of creating issues by doing it first time right. So we feel that this would be very helpful, bringing a structured workflow around the data requirements, which will further help our industry to be more effective, and that the information in BIM models becomes more trustworthy and also more usable moving forward. So this section is about checking it. So we have our model validation tool, BIM Collab Zoom, which can be acquired next to our BIM Collab Cloud. It's used to federate and view BIM files and point cloud files. But it also has checking features for clash detection, and in the future also the information checking. So connecting will give me the requirements that I recently just shared with the modeling team. So they are exactly one-on-one. You can run a check, find components which do not adhere to the requirements, and create automated issues from them and assign them to the correct modeling teams. So I hope you find this useful. If you want more information, you can visit our stand, so I can explain it a little bit further. Let's just move to our next topic, which is access to BIM. So we see that experts have the ability to view BIM models because they have those expensive tools like Revit or Solibri or Navisworks. But we also have a free desktop application called BIM Collab Zoom, which you can freely install to share those models with other stakeholders. But we also identified that in the current world that we live in, there are a lot of IT restrictions, so we want to make the BIM models more accessible. From a sort of looking back to models that were federated like 5 to 10 years ago, maybe there were 3 or 4 or 5, but we have seen the trend that this is growing and that more people have applications that create BIM files, even on the construction side. So these models are getting more and more complex, and there are more federated models involved. So where does this lead? So current technology becomes a little bit sluggish currently, especially web viewing. So we want to build our own in-house technology to also service more people, because the information can be found more and more in the BIM files and should be shared through the BIM files. So we built in-house technology, completely our own, and thanks to our development team, I think we succeeded quite excellently. So we don't rely on third-party applications. We want to have the BIM data accessible, no file downloads for people. So we want to have it more in other people's offices, on their screens, or maybe on the job site. No installations, always up to date. A coordinator can set up the model and everyone on the project can view it. Instant access, intuitive use, and of course everything secure in these days. So how do we achieve that? We build a LOD system which contains of multiple phases of detail, from a point to a box to a more elaborate box. But we didn't do that across the board. We used the BIM classifications or types to define if a wall should be a point for very long or not. So a small faucet can be a point for longer because you don't need it if it's in the distance and it's very small and complex. So this is very effective to stream models through a cloud without having to relate to hide objects while navigating, long loading times, etc. So you can share models with just one click, the size of this, and even bigger, without any lag or delay or loss of frame rate because of this LOD streaming. Even models that are very highly complex, like this one, it contains multiple components which already take millions of polygons all at once. So 40 gigabytes of files just streaming through your browser to any desk, office, or on-site. All the bricks that you see here are individual bricks, and while navigating we don't have to hide any of these components, so novice users don't get lost while navigating. So I have a small clip I want to show you. And of course on our stand I can give a more in-depth view of this. So as you can see, I can use a macro view from the entire site. I can just zoom in. It's very intuitive. And as you can see, all 60 to 65,000 seats are instantly available once you're in the vicinity of them. Outside of the screen, they could be boxes or points, but the user is not going to notice that. So it's super fast. And it also allows you to jump from issue, location, and stored images on the fly, create section planes, hide components. So the entire interior and technical services are also inside of these models. And I will shortly jump to the steel construction model, which is challenging probably on any system, even desktop applications currently. And we are able to deliver that to anyone on any device using our cloud streaming technology. So the detail that you see on the left side of the screen, it's fully modeled as built. And there are not one, but there are hundreds of those brackets available in this model. And as you can see, while navigating, we don't have to hide any components so that users can get lost. So nuts and bolts, rebar, it's all inside this model. You don't even see that in this image. But yeah, it of course creates a lot of more opportunities based on this technology, and to also reach a wider audience to take that BIM data that is becoming so vital to the next step and phase. Well, for once, I'm quite good with time. So it's always hard to time this. So I will let this run a little bit longer. But as you can see, the amount of detail that is in this 3D view, is amazing. And yeah, myself, I've been working with this technology now and testing it for a while. You almost forget that you're not on a desktop application, on a mega machine. You can just run this even from an iPad and have the same interaction. So thank you for now. Because we have a few minutes left, maybe there are some questions from the audience that you might want to pose to me. Just wait for the mic, please.
Hey, thanks very much. What kind of internet speeds would you require for the minimal usage of the web app?
Yeah, well, of course we tested it on several speeds, but I think broadband would be the best experience, moving from like 10 megabits and up. So yeah, of course it will stream in a little bit faster. You will still see the model, but more coarse probably. And the switching between the LOD states will be a little bit longer, but yeah, it's still very usable. Yeah.
And if you're using it on an iPad, can you cache the model on the iPad, or do you require streaming the whole time?
Well, this is our first technology step, if you will. So the first one will rely on direct streaming, but we already have plans to maybe set a sort of cache that you can also have a sort of downtime or offline time, and then when you come back, you can use the full model. But yeah, we need to devise some strategies to do that, to allow also simplistic devices to be able to cache that, because of course it's a lot of data, and this is not just the geometry, we also have the properties from it, so it will require some internal memory to cache that.
Perfect, thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else? Well, it's always a luxury to have a little bit more time, I guess. I would like to invite all of you to our stand. It's just a few steps away. My colleagues are also there to give you more information if that's needed. And I think I can already ask the next presenter to come on stage. And not yet? Okay. Sorry. I need to keep talking. So... do you have a question?
Just want to understand, typically, let's say for the size of project like an airport, for example, how much data we are talking about here?
Well, this stadium, and we have it in two stages, stage
Yeah.
4 and stage 5. And stage 4 was, I think the technical services alone were about 32 gigabytes of just the services. And I think the steel and the rebar model was around 40. Of course, we have been rolling this out to our key customers, and we asked them, well, give us your most problematic large models. And currently, yeah, we didn't found any substantial limit in that. So, yeah, if you have a big airport, I think there's maybe potentially a need to split up some sections, but far less than you are currently used to. So, yeah.
Another important part is there are two type of user. One who work on BIM Collab and another one who just want to view that. Like the owners or project manager, they are not going to actually work on that. They are just taking it as an input. For
Yeah.
doing that, is that a free version of viewer only, or do they have to pay less? How it works?
Well, on BIM Collab, we have generic users. So our pricing strategy is built on a fixed amount, but it's quite low because we want to have as many people involved in the project that are actually necessary. And that includes owners or other people who might not model, but they do have a say or an opinion about some of the design changes perhaps, and you can bring them with you. But there will still be a user on BIM Collab.
So it's not on per user, it's on per project. That's what you mean?
No, we have unlimited projects on BIM Collab. So if you have an account, you can create as many projects as you would like. It's just limited to the users that you can give access to those projects. But it's a flexible system, so it's not a fixed license. You can have a user database and you can activate and deactivate users as you would need them. So if you want to have the opinion of maybe a client for a period of time, you can just turn them on, add them to the project, and if that's okay, you just turn them off and you have an availability for someone else on another project perhaps.
Does that mean that any given point of time, let's say 20 or 30 users can access that file, and those 20 are flexible licenses? Any 20 people can use that?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And you can turn them off depending of the need for those people and their interaction. But we also want to log their decisions. So perhaps a client needs to approve a design change, and you can take him with them, maybe in a team session, having him open up the model directly on his device, being able to navigate and have a good understanding of what the change actually means, and then also maybe approve it. And that is logged in our system as well as a sort of documentation or audit trail for that.
And how much money we are talking about? Should we have to visit stand A4, or you can give an idea about the type of project or number of users, how the pricing structure works?
Well,
Or duration of the project is also important, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months.
yeah, of course, we are software as a service, so it's subscription based. So how long you want to use is just completely up to you. And there's also a very flexible system in scaling up or down users as the project needs it. So it's very difficult to say per project how much it will cost, because we also have different tiers with different functionality made for small users or beginning users or expert users. So yeah, if you want to have a conversation about the actual costs, then I would want to redirect to my colleague who is standing in the back there from our sales department to have a sort of calculation for yourselves.
Amazing presentation. Thank you so much, Christian.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your questions also.